One more observation about Bert's Big Adventure over the weekend, and I hate to lead with something negative here, but damn, will you teach your kids not to stare at kids with special needs? And also the observation that the adults too, man.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? I saw it like, I don't know if I was just more aware of it this year, and it could be. As I've said before, I was hanging out with Ava quite a bit, and she can't see. So the way that I was going through the park and describing to her the things that we were seeing, maybe I was just more in tune with how people were like looking at some of our kids this year. But you're a grown-ass woman and a grown-ass man staring at kids in wheelchairs, and then sort of, I saw this a couple of times, whispering in their kids' ears or whispering in another. I don't know what you were saying. Maybe you were saying nice things. I don't know. But the impression from the other side looks really bad.
This happens every year on Bert's Big Adventure.
For sure.
And what I have learned and done in the past, whenever this happens, is I've approached them and been like, hi.
Have you really?
This is my friend Ava.
For kids or the adults?
For kids. What's your name? And the kids could not have been like any sweeter and nicer because they're just kids and they're trying to figure stuff out and they're seeing something they have never seen before. Now, as far as the adults, I just shoot them a dirty look.
I just felt like rage. You know how you feel it? And, and I would stop it right before it came to my mouth and say anything. Hey, we're in Disney World. But I just felt every single time I saw it, just this rage building in me.
Yeah, I've felt it every trip. And when it's the kids, you know, obviously you still hate to see it, but they're kids. When you see it from the adults, that was the part that was really shocking to me. And it was even moments when I would be talking to Landon about it, one of the BBA kids, and he would just say to me, like he was used to it. Like it really almost didn't even bother him. Like he's like, yeah, that's their problem. And I love that he had that perspective. But the fact that he just has to go through that, and when you see the adults doing it, like you said, there's a rage. I don't even know how to handle it.
So, and I hate that happens so often. And I understand where you're coming from because, like I said, it's happened on previous Bert's Big Adventure trips, and it happens every single time. But with this trip, on the flip of the coin, to give you something positive, when I was partnered with Layla, who was adopted from China and chose Mulan as her princess at the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, I have never seen a child feel so special walking through the park because people were staring at her but lovingly. Like they were so enamored with her beauty and so many people. Like after she got her whole princess makeover, every single ride we went on, all of the Disney cast members and just people standing in front of us in line, complimenting her on her outfit and talking to her. I had never experienced it that positively to that level. It was incredible. She legit turned into a real princess that day at Disney, and the amount of people that were just so. I mean, you could see as they walked by, and they would whisper, but I could tell she's like, "Oh my gosh, she's so gorgeous."
and that really is a beautiful story.
Yes.
And I don't want to downplay it, but also if you didn't know who Layla was and you were watching her walk in the park, you would never know she had any kind of special need at all. Right. But with a Dakota, for instance, where you can visibly see, that's a special needs kid, or Hudson, when I was cruising around with Hudson around Toy Story ride, and people just staring, and I don't know. Maybe it's because they're standing in line so long and they're just bored. But the looks are just, I was just really, really infuriated. And I'm just venting here.
I know. I think it's a good PSA, and I think that's something that we get to experience on Bert's Big Adventure that we need to relay to other parents who have children who aren't dealing with any type of special needs, especially if it's outwardly visible. Like, exposure is key. All right. So. And that's why I think with, volunteering and making sure your kids are around other kids who, whether they have Down syndrome or they have other physical features that make them unique and special and different. So your kids have that exposure, because with exposure comes understanding, and with understanding comes empathy. And it's important for us to expose our kids to people of different walks of life so they have a better appreciation for people in general. Cass, what were you going to say?
Yeah, because those kids grow up to be adults who aren't exposed. So a lot of people just don't have any contact with anyone like our kids. And so they stare as well because they've never been taught. And I'm not saying it's right or it's acceptable. They need to learn to school themselves. But it's just for many people, this is the first time they've encountered someone even in a wheelchair. So when you teach your kids this, they grow up into adults who are accepting, and then it can pass on to the next generation.
All right, and let me double down also. How about some damn spatial awareness? Okay? For kids in wheelchairs.
Oh,
or
the
kids
amount
that
of
are-
adults that cut off Ducky in his wheelchair.
It's
My
ridiculous.
God.
Yeah, it really is.
And then you have to check yourself because we're staying positive and upbeat for the families, but even Ducky's parents too. It's like it's like all common decency. It doesn't even go out the window. They never had it to begin with, and I'm like, if one more person cuts this kid off, I'm gonna lose it.
It's been times I've had to catch myself because some nasty words almost flew out. I had to remember where I was. But yeah, people will take you there, man.
What a ridiculous 5 minutes this just was.
No,
that
it
we have
wasn't.
that we have to actually say, don't stare at special needs kids
I know.
or get out of a wheelchair's way. I mean, really?
Right.
Alita, good morning. You're on the Bert Show.
Yes, good morning, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
As a mother of a special kid, for 25 years, she's visually impaired and her eyes move. And every time that we go somewhere, it's the same thing. People staring at her, asking, why do her eyes move? Well, that's because her eyes move, and it feels really, really sad for people who doesn't, have any kind of education about that.
So I'm really curious from a mom standpoint, is it adults or is it kids that are asking you these questions of your child?
Adults.
And,
That's an issue.
Wow.
and yeah. So there's no part of you that's like, well, at least they're trying to educate themselves. It's insulting to you.
No, because they don't do it with that kind of point of view. They just stare at them and make them uncomfortable. My daughter can see a little bit, and she say, "Mom, why do they keep looking at me?" And I say, "Just don't put any attention." We passed over that a long time ago. She's 26 now, so but it hurts. It hurts.
Oh, I'm glad you called.
imagine.
Thank you. Ridiculous.
Full
You
adults.
gotta tell people that.
The Bert Show.
So, first, thanks for watching. Second, you like what you just watched? That just scratches the surface. Get The Bert Show on any podcast platform. We're so good.